Sunday. Hello, everybody. Now I have to go back to Instagram and tell everybody that we should go live. Come on. Come on, everybody. There. Now, hitting go live. That's live there. Hello, everybody. Tom Caltabiano, ELR 360 Live, talking all things Everybody Loves Raymond. We try, just like the show, not to be too timely. How am I sounding, everybody? I don't mean timely, I mean dated, by using references that are happening in the moment. But it's hard to avoid this one. There we go. Let's move that here. That there. Yes. So I posted a picture because it is on Tuesday, Doris Roberts' birthday, which is November 4th. And you know, I always try and include in my conversations about Everett Raymond stuff that you cannot look up on the internet. So, personal stuff that we all experienced on the show. Okay, let's say hello to everybody. Bob, aloha, and those, I forget, you treated yourself to some Tim Tams, which is very good. Hello, Thomas, excellent name. Hello, Mona. Hi, Karen in Plymouth, England. Hi, Karen, who might or might not be in Texas at the moment. Hello, Annabelle. I hope everything is okay. Yes, hi, Ellen. How old would she have been? That's part of our discussion, I think. Let's go on to Instagram and say, hello, Connecticut. Good evening, ES. So is it E small _ 80? Is it S small? See, you don't know when you're on the outside. Hi, Leo. Yes, so we'll talk about that. Hello, Joe Manganelli. Yes, hello, Crystal Lake. Hi, Crystal Lake, Illinois. Jordan's hello, Toronto. Hello from Toronto. Yeah, so for those of you, hello, UK. A lot of people from the UK, as we know. This is Tom Caltabiano, writer on Everett Raymond, talking to you about all things Everybody Loves Raymond. So let's cover for the UK, Australia, etc. The World Series last game happened last night. And for those of you who don't know baseball at all, the World Series is, and I'm wearing my quasi New York Mets, not really from Taiwan hat. And the New York Mets were a combination of the Brooklyn Dodgers, who exited New York, and the San Francisco now Giants, which were the New York Giants. So they combined the colors of the Dodgers and the Giants to make the Mets, and neither of those colors are represented on my hat. But of course, you remember the 69 Mets were on the Big Shots episode of Everett Loves Raymond, and if you were alive in New York back then, it was kind of like the Toronto Blue Jays story, which was, and I think actually Toronto did a better Cinderella story, little David and Goliath there. They were in last place, and they went from last place to one run from winning the World Series. So let's just talk real briefly, because people who don't like sports, this is a very boring topic. But if you would like to, if you like drama, here's why it's relevant. So Toronto was in last place. The Dodgers are this powerhouse team with an unlimited amount of money. Toronto, not so much money. They end up getting into the World Series. They won Toronto in one of the playoff games. So here we go, people. I forget how many teams there are in baseball. Is it 28? But it narrows down just like anything else. And then you have the American League and the National League, and the winner of the American League and the National League play in the World Series. And it's a best-of-7 game. Best-of-7 series. Last year, the Dodgers won, and they beat the Yankees, I believe, in 5 games, which is good for the Dodgers, not good for entertainment value, because you want the teams to be so closely matched that you don't know who's going to win. And that is what happened last night. Game 7 was played, and it was such a nail biter, and it might have been the most twisty-turny World Series game, I can't say ever, because I'm not really a baseball historian. I have some knowledge, more than the average person, much less than a baseball aficionado. But as far as a nail biter, and you had a team in Toronto that looked like they were going to win. It's only 9 innings in a game, and they were ahead for 8.2. I don't think that math works out. They were ahead until the end, and the Dodgers tied it. There were many, many plays, I won't bore you, that were within an inch of the Toronto Blue Jays winning the World Series. And so they were ahead basically the entire game, and the Dodgers only had a lead, I believe, in the 11th inning. So it looked like Toronto was going to win, and then the Dodgers in the last inning. For those who know baseball, you're like, yeah, of course, Tom, it's the last inning because that's when it ends. There's not a time constraint on baseball. There's just each team gets up and the home team gets the last licks. And if the visiting team is ahead and the home team doesn't score, then the visiting team wins. And the significance there is the home team, they can have something called a walk-off hit, a walk-off whatever, home run, meaning if they score in the bottom half of the inning, their inning, then the game is over. And the visiting team doesn't get a chance because they've already had a chance. So that is what happened in Toronto. I think everybody, it was so good for baseball because it was such a close match. Clearly, it could have gone either way, and I don't think that's lost on the Dodgers fans who, if you have an ounce of feeling, an ounce of heart, you feel bad for Toronto fans this morning because much like anybody, I'm sure, whatever they play down in Australia, whatever crazy game they play down there, when your team comes so close and then loses, you don't want to hear anything about that game for 6 to 7 years. And it's the opposite when your team wins. And I will say this. The Brooklyn Dodgers were a beloved team in Brooklyn, New York. They constantly had to go up against the giant, which was the New York Giants. And just to give you a statistic, I think this is within one or two. The most World Series. So the Dodgers are an incredibly successful team. They have won 9 World Series in their history, the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Brooklyn Dodgers constantly played against the Yankees, and they always lost. One of the writers on there was Raymond, who started our little cookie test, Jeremy Stevens, could hear what was going on in the Brooklyn Dodgers Stadium, which was called Ebbets Field, from outside of the stadium. That's how close he was. And the Dodgers finally beat the juggernaut Yankees in 1955. So just to give you a little relevance, though, why people like to hate the Yankees, and the Dodgers are up there as far as a juggernaut team, even though they were underdogs when they were in Brooklyn. The Dodgers have won 9 World Series. The Yankees, I believe, have won 27 World Series. And I think the second closest team are the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they've won 11 World Series. So the Yankees won basically 1 in every 4 World Series. So they were easy to hate. The Dodgers were always the underdog. And there was a bit of a, let's say, an ego match. I want to clean it up. Between 2 men in Brooklyn, a guy named, I believe, Robert Moses, and then the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he wanted a stadium one place. Those of you who are huge Brooklyn fans, please don't attack me for not getting it 100% accurate. But the spirit is here. The one guy who owned the Dodgers said, can we move the stadium here in New York area? And the other guy who said, nope. You're going to do what I say. And so the owner, I believe it was Walter O'Malley, said, you know what, I'll move to Los Angeles. And they were like, you'll never move out of Brooklyn. And they did. They moved to Los Angeles. So a lot of the Brooklyn Dodgers fans, their hearts were broken, and they vowed to never cheer for the Dodgers again. And other people just adopted the team here in Los Angeles. So there you go. There is a little bit, because it was, if you guys look up the game highlights. It was quite a game. All right, a lot there for that's my heart goes out to Leo in Toronto, all of our other Toronto, even Mona in Montreal. I don't know if you follow baseball at all, but for our Canadian neighbors, it was a very much Davy and Goliath story, and it did not go the way that some people would hope. Okay, let me catch up. That was a long little speech. Hello, Trish from home. Yes, Karen Kraft, you're in Texas. The weather is beautiful, 74 degrees. It is 70 degrees. It is 74 degrees here in Hollywood. Hello, Gil. How are you? Hi, Marty, Haran Column. Interesting last name in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Carol, hello in northern. There's an air quality alert that just came by. So, Mona, now off of that. Well, let me catch up. Hi, Mona. Let me catch up. We'll stick with baseball for once. Forgive us, everybody, but it is high drama. This would be a perfect movie. Toronto Blue Jays should have won, but that's just my opinion. Both teams played well, so congratulations to the Dodgers, but I'm very proud of the Canadian Blue Jays. Yes, okay, that is a very safe neutral. Bob Silva, thank you. 30 teams. Oh, so there were 28 teams sitting at home. That's where I got that from. Did I even say that? Yes, 28 teams watching. There are no teams at home. See, what happens is when you lose in the playoffs, for example, I think the Mets lose to the Dodgers last year? When you're at home and you're a team and you got eliminated by a team and that team that went up against the other team instead of you gets blown out and it's not even close, then you're resentful. Nobody watched the Toronto-Los Angeles Dodgers World Series and said, oh, I think we could have done better than Toronto. So there you go. Let's see. Nail biter, yes. I'm not sure what that means. Yes, sounds like a great game. Now, yes, Bob Silva, it ain't over till it's over. For those of you that don't know, Yogi Berra was a beloved Yankee, and he always had a bunch of sayings. And one of them, it ain't over till it's over. I think he was asked about Mickey Mantle's restaurant, and he said, nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. Stuff like that. Hello, Portland, Maine. Yes. Hello. How do you pronounce your name, Tom? You say it so quickly. You know, it depends where you are. If you're in the southern portion of the United States, my name really is hard for them to pronounce. And when I would visit Italy, and I would like make a reservation, let's say, it was so funny because Cultibiano rolls off their tongue. It's not a hard name for them to say. But I hear a lot of people saying Catabiano, stuff like that. So Cultibiano is how you can say it. So there is no, my grandfather who was from Sicily, what would catch him up is long A's. So he couldn't say apple. He had to say apple. Okay, that's not a great impression. Were the ELR writers all diehard Mets fan? Hi, Karen Jack. Or just Ray and or Phil. So they weren't all Mets fans. Phil was a Mets fan, and Phil's not really a sports fan per se. And by the way, when I speak on their behalf, I don't like to get facts in the way of my opinion, but when Phil visits again, he can chime in. So Phil was in, I believe, Queens, New York, where the Mets played when they won the World Series. So he was definitely a Mets fan. Raymond is a New York fan, and I would say he leans more towards the Yankees, which is understandable. And there's also, there's a lot of rivalries, etc. So if you hate whatever, then what do I want to say? You can hate opposing teams. So when the Mets play the Dodgers, I root for the Mets. When the Dodgers play another team, I root for the Dodgers, since I live in Los Angeles. Hi, Lynn. Is that a French last name? Ravignon? How would you say it? My French is terrible. Do I have to say it with a phony baloney accent? Lynn Ravinet. I'm Torontonian and hated for Jays to win. If it had to be any city, I'm glad LA got it. So you mean rooted for Jays to win or wanted Jays to win? Maybe, because that's a real left turn there if it's not. If it had to be any city, I'm glad LA got it after LA has had all of the stuff going on to it. Be a Canadian, being a Canadian. So I do know, folks, because I dictate a lot when I go, well, that's not what I said exactly. It brought the Canadians very close together. I know a lot of Americans that wanted the Blue Jays to win. Hello from Kansas, Sandy Phillips, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. We don't know. Hello from Kansas. A bit conflicted right now as the Chiefs are playing right. Is hi from Kansas. I'm a bit conflicted because the Chiefs are playing now. Yeah, you should watch the Chiefs. You can go back. Hi, Karen Kraft. Bob's family is Sicilian as well. Okay, let me go over to Instagram before we just start talking about Doris Roberts and my experience with Doris Roberts, my many experiences with Doris Roberts. Hello, Toronto. Yes, let me scroll way down. Tom, my wife, and talking about which ELR transformed the most in the season 1 to the end. I say Robert, but my wife says Marie. Ooh, interesting. My wife and I are talking about, yes, I'm filling it in. Was there a sports writer on staff? No sports writer on staff. Comedy writers only. So just to run through the writers, it's funny because I posted a picture of all the writers, and I realized how few people know who the writers are. Some of you know them who have been following me, but for the most part, they don't. You don't, etc. Oh, how is my camera look good? I think it looks good. Am I a little dark? Maybe. Let me see. I think I'm good. Steve Scrovander's from Cleveland. Patricia Heaton's from Cleveland. He was a Cleveland Indians fan. Mike Royce. I don't know what Mike Royce is baseball. Mike Royce is upstate New York, I believe. So could go any way there in upstate New York. Lou Schneider, Boston Red Sox fan. I'm going around the table. Tucker was probably and is still Tucker Cawley, who wrote the Baggage episode and many, many, many great episodes, is probably a Baltimore Orioles fan who the Mets beat in 1969, but we don't have to bring that up. And then let me keep going around. Aaron Shore feels like a vagabond who moved around a lot. And so I don't know that, excuse me, I don't know that he is a fan of sports in any way. And what's interesting is the split where people, and here I'll tell you a secret. I once went on Super Bowl Sunday to the Pottery Barn, which is a store here, to get a new slipcover for my couch. And I very much like sports, but I was like, oh, it won't be crowded. I'll race out. I will get that. And then I ran into 2 female friends of mine who were there. They're like, Tom, why aren't you watching the Super Bowl? And I said, well, I will. I'll go back in time. So there are people who are obsessed with sports, and there are people who have zero interest in sports. There are people who watch that. All right. That is a lot more sports talk than I was expecting. Ray Romano absolutely loves sports. And he could almost be a sports writer, just FYI. All right. Comedy writers, though. Doris Roberts. Mona wrote Doris Roberts would be 100 today. Now, here's one of the things. Let me adjust my hat. There we go. Doris Roberts' age was always in question. So we knew she was of a certain age. We knew she was over 40, 50, 60, 70 when the show started, but she, it was ambiguous. And it kept changing. And, you know, you're not supposed to ask someone's age. In Hollywood, you have to lie about your age, which I do not do. But as a 28-year-old, I don't really know much about how to behave. So, Doris Roberts, we would celebrate her birthday. Somebody wrote once. Oh, let me see. Let me pull up on my phone. Here, I need a sip because I've been talking nonstop. Okay, what am I drinking here? This is tea. Hold on. Let me do this. This is a new American company called, let's see. Look at that lens, everybody. Appreciate the Sony lens. Of course, I'm kidding. Since 1706, way before America existed, Twining's English breakfast tea is what I am drinking with a touch of milk. That is loose tea. I try and make loose tea as much as possible. But there you go. I do not receive any compensation from Twining's, but that is their British tea. Okay, look at that. Focus rack. When you say racking focus, that's what you see when you go, crazy tight and then back. Wow, look at that. Thank you to my friend Omar for setting that quick zoom up. Drinking some, yes, but did I drink enough? No, but I'm drinking from my, look at that, too much fruit in the house. Okay, here we go. By the way, I might adjust. Can I adjust my shutter speed? I think I'm bright enough. I'm bright enough. You guys don't need to see me any brighter. Doris Roberts. So Doris Roberts, we never knew what her birthday was. We would celebrate. Somebody wrote that they felt bad for Brad Garrett because he didn't get a birthday gift, a birthday cake. But the reason Brad Garrett didn't get a birthday cake was not because it was his birthday and we all gathered around and said, you know what? I think Brad has not suffered enough. His birthday fell after production ended every year. So we didn't really make it. Trying to think the longest we made. So for those of you that don't know, you film the show basically from August till the end of March. Most shows now, there's almost no shows that made as many shows as we did. And when we were making shows, we would look back on I Love Lucy, which I think would make 39 in a year. The most we ever made was 26 episodes, which is a lot. And basically, the season ran for the writers from June 1st until about the end of March, beginning of April. And I forget, somebody will know when Brad's birthday is. It's April something. So that's why. We weren't being cruel to Brad. His birthday just didn't fall during the production year. But Doris Roberts did, Peter Boyles did, and so we'd roll out a cake. Let me see if I can pull up on my phone, and I will post these on her birthday. I didn't want to confuse everybody, and I didn't post it. So we never knew what her age was. Nobody pressed her on what her age was. We just knew that she had an incredible amount of experience in show business. And so for her, even though it became a giant hit, her career was so expansive and so diverse from movies, Broadway to television. We were in awe of her experience. And also, this we can say without any gray area, and I know people write, Robert made the show, Marie made the show, Frank made the show. Sometimes it's not often that people say Ray made the show, which is interesting because Ray really did make the show. Doris Roberts' character Marie really drove the show. So without her, you would really not have a show, without a villain. So she pushed so many things into action, I would say. Sorry. I was editing myself from saying the inciting incident often happened, but that's mumbo jumbo writer's talk. If you think in these terms, think in your own life, the people, you know the phrase, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. When you think you have people in your life who are a giant pain, and all of your energy goes to servicing that person and keeping the peace and doing that, and without them, you would be like, like if, let's say, that person was moving away to a retirement home, you would want to throw somebody against a refrigerator. So that, which, by the way, the home episode was 9 years of a joke coming to fruition. So when they dance around in that kitchen, you've built up 9 years of tension from having to deal with Doris, with Marie's character. So I don't know that they would say it when they were negotiating with her. The television business is a business, so they are constantly trying to, because it's a business, to get actors to work for as little money as possible. So the president of CBS isn't going to go to Doris Roberts and say, Doris, without you, this show does not exist. Now, we knew that, or Phil knew that, Ray knew that, but when they would negotiate with Doris, I'm sure they were like, it's called Everybody Loves Raymond, it's not called Everybody Loves Marie, so let's talk about the numbers. So two separate things. One is how do you make good entertainment, and how do you run a business and keep your costs down. But Marie really was the driving force because she was the biggest obstacle. And the biggest obstacle, when you think going back to terms of baseball, it's like, okay, how do you hit this amazing pitcher? You're Toronto and you're like, you're very frustrated. And if you overcame that, it would be a much bigger victory than if you were hitting against somebody who, and it was 14-0, which that's another thing just for that World Series. The first game was a complete blowout, and Toronto destroyed the Dodgers. So it did not look good for the Dodgers at that point. All right. So Doris as a person, people are like, what was Doris like as a person? You know, on just because I find that, and it's frustrating because people are like, yeah, we came to work and then, you know, it was fun because we did a lot of stuff together. For the writers, you would see Doris at the table read, and then you would see her all week when we did rehearsal. The interaction with her, you know, I would see her at craft service. Craft service is the kitchen area, and we would chat a little bit. And she would also often say, what script are you working on, Tom, for my Emmy next year? You know, which is not, it's a funny thing that she would say. And I knew she was thinking it for real. It's not the way you as a writer would think. You would just think, what is a funny story, period? And will Phil like it and Ray like it? And you don't sit there and go, what is a good story that will win this actor an Emmy? It's just not ever a thought. You might think that after you watch the taping of The Lucky Suit, and you might go, wow, that's a powerful performance. I bet you she submits that one episode for her potential Emmy. So the small talk with Doris was, you know, always fun. I'm trying to think of what we would talk about. She would talk a lot about what other projects she was doing. And I remember as a photographer, she was doing her book. Now, I took the cover photo for Brad Garrett's book, and for Phil's book, I'm hesitating because it's like one half of Phil's book. I don't think when Phil's book came out, I'm trying to think, Phil made a decision not to put pictures in his book, which was interesting. Interesting, it's a complete choice. I'm just saying I have a lot of pictures of Phil. Brad Garrett used me for his cover photo, and Doris talked to me because she goes, Tom, I want to get this photo. And it's the photos, let me see, her book, for those who know. Everybody on the show came out with a book, except for John Manfrolotti. Let me see this. Let me do this search for you. See, I wasn't thinking about. Are You Hungry, Dear? Doris Roberts. Okay, so I remember talking to her at Craft Services, and she said, Tom, I really need to get this book for my cover. This photo for my cover. There we go. There's Doris looking beautiful, stunning. Let's go. There we go. Life Laughs Lasagna. Okay. And I did not have a photo of her. I don't know which photographer took it, but the publisher fought her on getting that photo. Sorry, folks. I'm a comedy writer, not a surgeon. So I'm trying to, here, let me move it back, see if it'll grab that focus. Either way, you get the idea. I don't want to make you guys seasick. And I forget the dollar amount. And just so you know, publishing, unless you're writing Harry Potter, which is going to make $1 trillion dollars, publishing is not the big money cash cow that television was, at least back then. So she told me, she said, I really want this photo, Tom. And I'm like, yeah, that's a phenomenal photo. And she's like, the publishers don't want to pay for it. And I forget what the dollar amount was. It wasn't like a crazy amount. When I say, I'll just give you relative terms. When we did the Everett Raymond photo book, it was myself, Phil Raymond, and Heather Havleski who wrote it, who wrote a lot of text. A lot of the text is just Phil and Ray writing stuff. My agent said, why are you wasting time with a book? Because you will make more money in 1 week than 3 months of trying to make this book happen. And I wanted to make the book. And so I made the book for very, very little money compared to what I was earning in television. So Doris was like, I really want that photo. I'm like, yes, I think you should fight for it, Doris, to get that photo. And in my mind, I'm thinking, even help pay. There's a weird split where you don't use your own money, but it's for her book, and if she needed it that badly. But that gets into a different discussion. However, she got the picture. The book looks fantastic on the outside. So that was one of the sidebar conversations with her. And then I would talk to Doris in the makeup room a lot. So I've posted a lot of pictures of Patricia Heaton in the makeup mirror because Patty is a very photogenic subject, but I also have as many photos probably as Brad Garrett, Doris Roberts, Raymond, not as much because I just didn't want to bother Raymond, but Doris I would see in the makeup room, and that's where most of the discussions would happen because you're really can't, you can, so when they would be in makeup on show day, they would all be in the makeup room. And they were not learning their lines at the moment because they have, sometimes they would, but for the most part, there's nothing to do at that moment. Once their makeup is on, they would sit there with Elizabeth Herring and run their lines. They would call speed throughs. They go, you want to do a speed through on this script. So they would read the script from beginning to end, and they would do that a lot in between scenes. If there was a long scene, for example, on the bird episode, a very long scene with where Pat, the bird, that scene, I remember because I took a lot of pictures in there. So with Doris Roberts, I know that a lot of conversations happen there, especially between Patty and Doris. Now, I know there's been talk of, Peter Boyle, the opposite of the Frank character, and Patricia Heaton were in different ends of the spectrum politically. I never once saw any discussion with them about politics or heated discussion or anything at all. Whereas I think Doris and Patty would have more discussions that were, and I'm going to frame this by saying nobody didn't get along on Everybody's Raymond. But that time, those times in the makeup room were really the time that you could have casual conversation about anything. If we were showing up tomorrow at Everett's Raymond, the talk would be about the World Series game. There'd be a lot of conversation about that. Okay, so Doris, as you know, would also have a greed party, we called it, at her house, where I think at one point James Dean lived, not with Doris Roberts, but in that house prior. It was on Quebec Drive, if you look that up. All right, let me take another sip here. Oh, let me catch up. I've not looked at any comments at all about Doris. There we go. StreamYard. All right, let's catch up. Sorry, everybody. What? Yes, so good. Okay, April 14th. Yes, April 14th. Okay, let me go back to that. Serious. Okay. Hi, Karen. Well, let me go back. Okay, Bob. I am the same way with the Phillies, so let me bring that up. I am the same way with the Phillies, so I get it. I always root for the Mets, but we lived in Philly for 9 years. Okay, yes. We plan to move back. It was for Phillies. Okay, yes. For those outsiders, they're very close, and they are arch enemies. Let me see this. Yes, special boy. I hated for the Jays to lose. I saw my error and deleted it, but it still went through. Name pronounced Ravina. Okay, so I was pretty, it was awful, right? My pronunciation. I didn't get anything but the R sound, it seems like. Ravina. So is that French? It might be. Hi, Karen Jack. We also lived in Cleveland and rooted for the Indians and the Rockies when we lived in Denver. Yes, the Indians. Never understood why they changed it. Do you know a former ELO director was an MLB announcer? Yes, Bob Silva. So what Bob Silva is referring to is Ken Levine. Ken Levine, I believe, was an announcer ultimately for the Seattle Mariners. Is that correct? You can correct me if I am wrong. Hi, Kathleen from Philadelphia. Yes, Raymond never got past age 40, and Ray never got past age 43. They each had one birthday celebration. This includes Deborah and the kids. You're talking about on the show, I guess, on the series. Hi, Karen Edwards. This is a very British question. No American would ask this question. Do you have a teapot for the Twinings tea? I do not. I use what is it called? A tea. It's the metal mesh thing that you put them in, and then I put it in a teapot. And I'm not making fun of you, Karen. I'm just saying that would not be on the radar of most, especially American men, are not going to have a teapot if you ask that. But here, I'm going to drink some more of those Twining teas. Too much fruit in the house. There you go. Going back to the pilot. By the way, our favorites quotes mug designed here, voted on by all of the fans, which I do have some news. right? Did I think I posted it, but I will share that news with you as well. No, Karen, send me a picture of a teapot, of your teapot. Speaking of birthdays, how about that episode when it's discovered that Robert was born 2 months earlier than was told? Yes, Good Girls episode. Very, very twisty show. I just recently saw an episode. I recently saw an episode of Doris Roberts in All in the Family. She was at a bar with Edith. I immediately thought of them together in I Wish I Were Gus episode. Yes, one of the early episodes, and I know everybody was thrilled because for those of you who don't know, All in the Family, which was taken from a British sitcom, we haven't taken everything, as I drink the Twinings tea. All in the Family was a gigantic hit, a #1 hit, a milestone in television. So when Jean Stapleton, who played the wife on All in the Family, guested on Everett Raymond, it was very much sitcom royalty. Hello, an infuser. Yes, Maureen Schmidt. Thank you. I have a stainless steel tea infuser. I actually have 5 of them, I think. I drink a lot of tea. Hi, Mona. You have a... Oh, come on. I have a teapot and I have one of those metal mesh things, an infuser. Yes, so good. Mona, yes, and my favorite tea, I love it. Tea Talk here with Tom Caltabiano. All right, let's go over to Instagram, check any comments there. Let's scroll back up. See, the problem is because I have to scroll up. Yes, Doris was also in a few episodes of Patricia, high in the middle. Yes. What did Doris say about Marie? Did she comment on how awful she could be, especially to Deborah? Excellent topic. Excellent topic. Okay, let's go this. Okay, going back here, scrolling down. I'm not avoiding questions. It's questions that I've asked, that I've answered rather already. Do you post your photography on Instagram? Yes, I do. If you look up my name, and I figured out a special code, it's Tom Caltabiano Photos. That is what I put on Instagram. I put quite a mishmash of photos, as they say in the business. It's well curated in that I put whatever I want on there at any time. Please, yes, go over to Tom Caltabiano Photos. I also have a top secret site that I don't tell anybody. I put up for myself, which is just called People Laughing, and it's photos I've taken of people laughing, and it's meant to put a smile on your face because, as we know, life can be hard for everybody all the time. I guarantee it. I know it at different times in your life, but everybody has some struggles. So, thank you for that question, though, about my photos on that's Ace Academic Coaching. Thank you. My dad played basketball with James Dean in Samo City College. Wow, Kristen, that is trivia on a highest level and very, very interesting. That is fantastic. Okay, capital yes. Brad's name, yes. Rose Caputo, yes, not Rose Caputo, but another one. Did Doris Roberts ever comment on the Marie character? Absolutely. Phil Rosenthal and Doris Roberts had many discussions. Just my hat. I've committed to hat head, so I can only do so much, folks. So Doris was concerned a few times that she would be unlikable, that the character Marie would be unlikable. Now, in hindsight, I think, did she win 4 Emmys? When you win 4 Emmys for your performance, you have to trust Phil and his knowledge. But it's understandable that you think that you are not likable, because the truth is, she is coming from a place of love. She is 100% blind to what she is doing. So she just wants happiness for the entire family. So if you tapped Marie on the shoulder and said, Marie, you're being mean to everybody and you're a bully and you're controlling and you're impossible to live with, she would be shocked to hear that. She'd be like, I just point out how people are doing the wrong things and I'm trying to help them. For you to accuse me of all those things is outlandish. So, which is why if you watch the letter episode, it's phenomenal, because Deborah is finally saying how she feels. And of course, Frank is enjoying reading that letter, which, by the way, that was the first, I'd say, overwhelming scene where the studio audience really clapped like crazy when that scene ended. It was tearing up. That scene was so powerful. The letter scene with Frank reading the letter out loud that Deborah had written. So I think now Doris Roberts, the human being, is like, hey, Phil, I don't want to be unlikable. Now, you love a villain. If you watch this, the show MASH, which Ken Levine, I believe, with his writing partner, was the head writer of for a while, Hot Lips Houlihan was the enemy, and really great character, and you loved her. And then, I'm not speaking from experience, I'm speaking as a complete young viewer, I remember it felt like people started to get along, and Hot Lips Houlihan was no longer the enemy with Frank Burns. Frank Burns had left the show at some point, but it was just a weird, you're like, oh, I don't like it that she's no longer the villain. So with Doris Roberts and Marie's character, I believe Phil had to have a couple of conversations with her about the reason we like Marie, because we know that she just thinks that she is doing good, and she would be shocked and heartbroken if anybody thought she was coming from any place but a good place. All right, let me catch up on a few questions before we try a snack. Yes, Aunt Alda. Yes, great. Okay, great. I'm just seeing stuff that I agree with. Yes. Okay, that's that. Okay, let me go back to StreamYard now. Here, sorry folks, I'm bouncing. We're also on YouTube as well. We have a lot of outlets here. Is this a petition? Where do I sign? The letter, yes. Mona, yes. Okay, all these quotes. Yes, pictures of teapots. Until this week, that in the first season at the Big Fork and Spoon. Yes, the Big Fork and Spoon changed. We'd have to talk to the set decorating people of why. Yes. I saw an episode of Doris Roberts' All the Family. Yes, okay. Carol, you had her book, and she has each recipes in that. We're going to track down a couple recipes for all of you folks. We're hot on the trail of that chocolate cake, which was the best cake I ever had by far. It was called ultimately Rhonda because she was the head of props. Rhonda's cake. The Rhonda cake. Double fudge chocolate cake. Okay. Yes, the canister. Let's show it again using our beautiful, let's see. I think my hands are clean. Yeah. This has taken a beating, everybody. Rhonda Robinson, who was the head of props, lent this to me for 1 week. I've had it for almost 2 years. She does not know where I live, so it's unfortunate for her, but good for you guys. This is one of the few canisters that were made for the episode. As you know, they were beaten up during that episode, and so they have to make sure that they don't have one. Let's say someone stole one or something happened. So there's a couple of those. One of these is courtesy of Rory Rose Garden, and it is in, off of this announcement, the Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame in Stony Brook, New York. The announcement came out right after I went live last week. So that exhibit, I believe, opens November 28th. And I don't know how long it's going to run, but I think it could run for a year. Don't quote me on this. I have no official part of it, but I unofficially have a big part of it, of making that happen. But it all started with somebody reaching out to Ray's, to the executive producer, Ray's manager, Rory Rose Garden, who started the ball rolling. So I will keep you posted on that. Hopefully I get to go out to Stony Brook and see it in person. They have a lot of surprises out there for you, including this. For those of you that I know didn't get to it in New York City, and when I say I know that some of you are like, please make it travel. I personally would make that, if I had unlimited funds, it would be a traveling show. I would be at every show, every museum for an opening, etc. But it's completely, everything is a nonprofit so far. The Paley Center for Media Studies, is that what it's called, the official? And the Long Island Museum. So I have no control whether it travels the world or not. But I do know it will be in Long Island for quite some time. And they have a lot of surprises, including the canister and the toaster. But today, for those of you who don't know, I taste cookies here every Sunday. I try to and rate them. Okay, here we go. Inside the canister. Oh, let me see this. Okay. Wow, we have a lot of foreign. Okay, here. There you go. So there we go. Here's what we have. Griffin's milk chocolate. We're going a lot New Zealand, I think. Look at the spectacular close-up look of that. That says product shown, not actual size. Now, why did they have to put that? Was that a lawsuit that someone complained that their cookie was smaller? We're going to find out what size of cookie. Okay, so there you go. Griffin's milk chocolate ruffs. Made in New Zealand, okay? What is that? Oh, that's New Zealand. There you go. Okay, so we will try these. Do any of you know? Who's been to New Zealand? It is far away from everything except for Australia. Let me see. Hi, Maxine. Very excited about Stony Brook. We'll be going there. Yes, when you go there, you will see a lot of my photos, and I'm going to try and provide them a lot of behind-the-scenes video footage. Let me see. This. Mona, I'll send you a picture of my mother's teapot, mother of pearl, and real gold on the Messenger. Why don't you send me the teapot? Is that too much to ask? Yes, it is. That was a joke, Mona, for those of you that are like, how dare he? I cannot believe it. Where do I sign? Yes. Okay. So let's try these, folks. I have so much work to do. I have to put up all of my ratings. I try and take a little bite of these here. Yeah. These are new. Will need a napkin because it is chocolate, and these are not what I was. Oh yes. Hold on. Separate it. Do that. Yeah, this is going to be a crumble factory. So, and it's chocolate, so it's melty. I will need a napkin. Let me see. Oh, here's a napkin. Good. Okay, here we go, folks. Oh, hold on. There we go. Is that the actual size? Is that the same size as you saw in the photo? I don't know. Okay, so it's a chocolate-covered kind of biscuit. I can't tell. It's a dark flour. Uh-oh. It's very crunchy. Exceptionally crunchy. For those of you that can't stand watching someone chew, I suggest you walk your dog or something during this portion, okay? It's so interesting because it's tasty, but all of these foreign biscuits, foreign to me as an American, are not that sweet. Like in America, most of the cookies are just, you feel your teeth cracking. All right. So it's so crumbly, I have to put it in a napkin. I'm always in the 7 area because it's tasty. It's a texture that I've never had in a cookie. I will say that. It's a very unique texture. Oh, and the name is good. Ruffs. So, wow. I feel like I'm an easy judge, but I'm going to give that a 7.3. That is tasty, tasty, tasty. Not too sweet. The roughness of it, it's such a crunchy, it's very unique. I'm just going to say that. It's a very unique texture. Let me see if I can put some more words to it. A cookie has more of a crumbly texture. That has a hard texture. So if you guys know hobnobs kind of fall apart. This did not. This stayed together with a chocolate coating. Super unique flavor. and texture. Bravo. And now you British people, because there's nothing like that in America as far as I know, you might say, Tom, when they stole that from us, like some of the other things that I don't want to name names, but perhaps Tim Tam is derivative of something else. I don't want to cause any cookie wars, but maybe there is something similar. I have not tasted anything similar to that. Okay, now I do what I didn't do last year. So here, the TV special, November 24th, the Everglades Raymond 30th Anniversary Union Special, available on CBS and Paramount Plus. As much as I know, they are editing it now. It's going to be broadcast. I think it's going to be 90 minutes. It's going to be very, very good. I know they're using probably some of my photos, more than likely. I mean, I'm supplying them with photos, and I have to look through all my original photos, which for those of you that don't know, so that is a proof sheet. That is one of my proof sheets. That has 36 pictures on the proof sheet. That is from this episode. Tissues, that's my internal coding system when I made the book. Those are ones that I have already scanned. So we scanned frame number 21, 22, 33, the sequence, and 31. And on October 15th, 2003, we scanned image 20A, and then it looks like image 28. So there you go. That is a proof sheet. I'm up in the rafters. There's Steve Messias doing the slate. There is Jason Gellis, who was a writer, became the head writer of The Ellen Show. There I am up in the catwalk is where I'm shooting all these. Let me switch hands to try and get rid of the glare. Okay, so don't worry, I'll stop for a second, folks. Don't worry. There you go. There I am. That's from the top. Patty, so I'm doing a reverse image backwards movement. Patty putting out the fire, Deborah putting out the fire. Come on, focus. There you go. There's the special effects guy. Let me see this. Special effects guy talking to the first AD, Randy Sewer. And Philip talking to Raymond. Sorry, it's so hard to keep this steady. Philip talking to Raymond, Deborah, Ray from above. All these are from above. So I have a sequence that we did. We did the takes twice. We did it up until Patty got squirted with the hose. And so there we go. There's her coming down. And there is the kitchen fire, etc. So this is one of the proof sheets. So when the production is requesting photos, I have to go through those proof sheets. And see, oh, there's the photo, and then I have to scan it. So in some way, there's no guarantee, but in some way, those photos will be included in that special. And I would tell you more, but I really can't, and I don't know more. I don't know that much more other than that. Our kids will be there for Thanksgiving then, and I don't know if we'll be able to get them to watch it with us, so I might have to record it. Oh, our kids will be here. Yeah, you can record it. Anne-Marie, chocolatey flavor. Yes, sorry. Did I fail with that? Yes, Karen, dipped in coffee to your milk. Absolutely. Hi, Bob. Yes, it does sound good. 7.8, good predictive thing. I have to look because, so far I think the Jammy Dodger and one other are good. I love that at the bottom near the end of the cookie biscuit you're sampling, there is a health rating. Looks like it got half of 1 star. Is there really a health rating on there? Is that a New Zealand thing? Okay, did I miss that? Okay. First of all, Tom, right side up. Is there a health rating that I missed, everybody? Okay, here we go. I have to start posting close-ups of these labels. There we go. Scanning. Is there a health rating there? It's hard. It's hard. Oh, I see. I'm backwards. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There we go. Cocoa. Find more about cocoa. And then the health star rating is 0.5. Okay. I'm going to cover up any health. Good eye, Annabelle. I don't think they have that on our American things, do they? No, I don't think so. So, whoops. Okay, here is, wow, 305. Okay, here we go. This is I have all of these. This is a Rhonda script. This is a prop script. There we go. 11/11/04, A Date for Peter, season 9, episode number 409. Okay, I think that's an internal code. Let me just see this. What gold we have here. So it is, yes, there is a code there, 0409, that corroborates with our friend Rhonda's script. Okay, Mike Royce, Rhonda's name on there. Okay, that is a genuine script from Everybody Loves Raymond. All of her notes in there. When next time Rhonda's on, we'll have her describe the notes. So Peggy drink, Peter, book, deviled eggs, refrigerator, bruschetta stuff. Not bruschetta, bruschetta. Okay, this is great. Now, I realize, so on the other scripts, what I was doing is having you guys guess what the script is. So by me telling the script, I've taken away that guessing game. But the reason I have is I will do it next time. Usually I do it with wardrobe. It's so hard to guess from, and I guess I should have more faith that you guys will guess it. And yeah, I guess you can. So here, this is so inside of her envelope there are all of these Polaroids of items. So here we go. That is the end table. There's Ray and Deborah's wedding picture. Let me see how close this lens can do. Yes, there we go. For those of you that are hungry, I apologize. So here we go. Rhonda has to make sure that every single setting, when they go back to when they go back to the beginning of the scene, looks the same. Okay? Because then people in 20 years will go, I noticed that the fork and spoon are different. So there you go. If I showed that one, I think you guys would have possibly guessed pretty quickly. Okay? Let's show a few others. And we'll talk to Rhonda about what brands you show and don't show. So that is the bar where Robert was there, where he said, please don't tell. But my Stefania is here. Okay, here we go. So these Polaroids exist for every single episode. It's a lot of work, folks, to make sure that everything looks authentic and you don't get caught in between. And people don't go, the roast beef was a big piece and then it was a small piece. So there you go, coffee maker and the coffee table. And so even this, so that's how it has to look at the beginning of the scene. Sorry, I know I'm going quickly. And then when people show up, their clothing as it's hung on on various places. Anything that an actor touches, Rhonda is in charge of. Then it becomes a prop. Here we go. There we go. The hutch. Be interesting to compare that. Yes. Roberts. Peter's apartment. There you go. Comic books, of course. And that is his refrigerator. For those of you, I don't want to give it away. For those who haven't seen the tag. More booze from the episode. So you would have guessed it, folks, from the shots, the comic book shots in his apartment. And here we go. There is the end table. And I think we're back to kind of the beginning, I believe. Yes, there is the beginning. So A Date for Peter. If you guys, and I want you to guess next time. This is the last one I'm going to give away beforehand, but that was A Date for Peter, written by Mike Royce. All of the Polaroids. Let me know which one you would see the props for which Polaroid. I know Marie's sculpture, probably. Okay, hold on. Let me just put this away. All right, final questions, final observations. Oh, hold on. Let me drink my cappuccino. Out of this, the quotes mug in red. Also, I forgot, we have to design this year's Christmas ornament. We are running out of time. Do we have enough time for a Christmas ornament? Yes. I'm going to take that as a yes. All right, here we go. Final questions, catching up. Tom Cultivator here, writer on there as Raymond. Hacky-doo. I watched Marie's sculpture I watched Oh, Marie Sculpture the other day, because you wrote every day, which would be a little bit. Talk about Tasteless Frank. Yes, Mona, we can do that. Hello. The deviled eggs always make me laugh because it was an odd choice for me for a cocktail party to meet a mate. I think I would be interested to discuss that more, and I'm being serious. Why it's a thing. My local grocery store has a health score on the online shopping website. It goes from 0 to 100 and is based on the ingredients, as well as nutritional info. I try to only purchase foods that are greater than 50. Yes, I've spoken here about an app which I use all the time. I don't get any endorsement. I don't know if they are good people or bad people, but it's called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. You scan the barcode and it finds out. Could I get Brad on again, Mona? Yes, I just have to figure out the timing to get Brad on here. Our kids will be here, yes? Okay, good. We're caught up on that. Let's go over to Instagram, folks. Instagram, yes. Okay, scrolling all the way down. Okay, everybody, Tom Caltabiano, writer on Everest Raymond. Let me see, I see a lot of question marks. Except Aussie Tim Tans, they are sweet but very good. Too sweet in America. Okay, I'm reading backwards, folks, so sometimes it is a little bit hard. Question, Tom, any new host for the podcast you're working on? Any new host for the podcast you're working on? I'm not sure what that means, Leo. Is that insulting, saying, Tom, is there anybody that you could get to host this Tom Caltabiano Talks About Everest Raymond show? Yes, I mean, we're trying to get the official podcast up and running. I'm swamped with a few hundred different things. Yes, is that what you mean, Leo? And again, I so am sorry about the Toronto Blue Jays. One team had to win, so. But what are you going to do? All right, and send me cookie suggestions. Send me any suggestions that you would like me to try here. I really appreciate all of your input. Oh, look at what I just spotted here on the side. Unlocked, unprotected. I got to get my head out of there. Yes. For those of you of a certain age, that is, forget even the show, that is a very familiar sight there. They did not taste good, and I don't even know if they worked, but they might have, perhaps. Okay, let's do this. Let's bring up this final thing. Would love to hear the inspiration of the episode PT&A. Yes, I will tell you that. I will tell you that episode happens to be a script that I wrote with a big influence by Phil on one specific moment. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Tom Caltabiano. Don't forget, I'm here every week, but the reunion special, the 30th reunion special airing on CBS and Paramount Plus. I don't know about the United Kingdom or Australia, etc., but it will be there here on November 24th. I don't know the air time. It'll be a 90-minute special. I know it'll be tremendously good. And you will see a lot of familiar faces in that as well. The Long Island Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame, the Everest Raymond exhibit, I believe, opens November 28th. It will be as close to you can get to attending a live filming. I can tell you that. Of course, we are here every Sunday. So send your suggestions. Thanks again, everybody, for answering questions that other people have that you know the answer to. For those of you who have been longtime listeners, you know as much of the show as almost anybody now. So I really, really appreciate it when you guys jump in and answer. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good week. I will see you next week.